Okay, so I don't think anyone is expecting like an Israeli billionaire to be, especially a cybersecurity billionaire, to be some like free speech warrior. But there was one post from this Israeli billionaire recently on CNBC that was so disturbing to me. And I think it actually ties in with what a lot of US lawmakers are currently saying about free speech and the First Amendment. So this guy, his name is Shlomo Kramer, and he is on CNBC saying it's time to limit the First Amendment. Let's listen to what he has to say. It's a pretty short clip.
And I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it. And quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
Yeah, I know it's difficult.
Okay. Did you hear that last part? He said the government should take control over what they're saying. This is terrifying. This is terrifying. I just want to hear it one more time because it's so absurd.
To hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it. And quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms.
So, this is just so disturbing. And as somebody in the chat said, like Zionists have been trying to curb free speech in the West for years. That's literally what, like, I don't know if you guys saw these Canary Mission leaks that came out, happened, but basically this, a bunch of information on Canary Mission, which is this horrible organization that targets students and speech and immigrants, tries to get them deported over their speech, things like that, tries to get them punished. They've never been allies of free speech. These Zionists have never supported free speech and free expression. But to hear them say it so openly, and then to have the Democrats completely echo the same rhetoric is really scary to me. So, it's wild because like this post was viral online and a lot of people were actually agreeing with it. A lot of people are saying, it's time to crack down. Like we need to, to restrict the First Amendment, or like, you saw the Senate Democrats, for instance, seeking to repeal Section 230, which is basically kind of like the First Amendment for the internet. And I'll share this post that they did a little while ago, which I love the community note. I love that there's a community note on this. So this Senate Judiciary Democrats, this was back a couple weeks ago in December. White House said we're finally moving to file a bipartisan Section 230 repeal bill. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Long last, proceeding to file a bipartisan Section 230 repeal. We've been working on that for a long time, and I think it's time now to make the decision, and people in this committee who want to join the bipartisan bill can join, and people who don't want to, they don't have to. But waiting any longer, I don't think serves any useful purpose. So I thank Senator Graham for proceeding that way. And long last, proceeding to file.
Okay, so first of all, this old ass man probably doesn't even know how to turn his computer on, okay? None of these people should be in Congress. These are decrepit, old people that do not understand how technology works and are authoritarian, terrible people that just want to push, enact mass censorship and sort of punish everyone before they leave and die. Okay, that's the vibe of it. I love that this post got a community note. It was so I wish every one of these bad speech posts online would get a community note. And it made me so happy to see that there was one on this account, on this post. Readers added the context. Section 230 protects online platforms from being considered publishers. This protects them from constant lawsuits over user-generated content, allowing user content to flourish. Repealing it would force platforms to aggressively censor users to avoid liability, devastating the internet. Exactly. It's a terrible idea. Okay, guys, we want to protect Section 230. And you'll hear a lot of people say, well, but Section 230 that protects big tech or something, right? First of all, no, that's not. That's sort of misleading. There's a great site called whatissection230.com. It's by Fight for the Future, a phenomenal progressive digital rights organization. But I just want to sort of like debunk some of that stuff where people are like, oh, it protects big tech, protects big tech. That's like saying the First Amendment protects big tech or the First Amendment protects big business, whatever. It's like, yeah, in some cases, I mean, that's kind of how rights go, but like most of who is being protected are not like big. It's not, I'm trying to think how to explain this. Like, yeah, the things like the First Amendment or Section 230 sometimes protect people in power, but they also protect the rest of us. And when you dismantle them and you put in place systems that actually only entrench people in power and only further protect people in power and actually take away rights from the rest of us, that's what's bad. So, yeah, I mean, repealing Section 230, as they note here, would give Trump and his oligarch buddies even more power to censor the internet and consolidate authoritarian control. And so it has this great sort of breakdown on different stuff. What would happen if it was changed from its current form? We'd basically lose free speech on the internet. Social media companies, platforms are publishers. They get into this good kind of breakdown on that. Here, isn't Section 230 what allows big tech to host hate speech with impunity? I think they give a good explanation here. Sorry about the noise. It's not a get out of jail free card the way it's positioned, right? Like companies are still liable for content that they themselves create. If they're caught knowingly hosting and sharing bad stuff, that's still illegal. Like it's not like there's no accountability for these companies currently. It's just that we don't have like privacy. Like a lot of the laws that we would want in place that actually would hold these tech companies accountable are the opposite of what repealing Section 230 would do. And then they say, so what should be done about big tech? I love this part too. If you have a chance to look, again, this is what is section230.com. It talks about like privacy laws and surveillance laws and civil rights laws and just like the things that we actually do need to do to protect speech online. So, but of course the Democrats don't give a shit. The Democrats are terrible and the Republicans are terrible too, but the Democrats are especially terrible. So in addition, you had like the Senate Democrats trying to repeal Section 230. Then you had, this really made me mad, Chris Murphy. Sorry, you can't read it probably. Meta's plan for the new year: do whatever it takes to addict more teens to Instagram. Instagram's plan to win back teens. Okay, first of all, as I posted here, you can't read my post, can you? I like quoted, sorry to like be like reading my own post like a loser, but whatever. I said, you support censorship and surveillance laws that will reward big tech companies like Meta by allowing them to consolidate power and harvest even more data on users, including teenagers, by the way. You pretend you're cracking down on big tech while advocating for mass surveillance and censorship. And that's
a bipartisan Section 230 repeal.
Playing again, sorry. I got scared. I was like, who's in the stream? I think this is what
all the social platforms we need to.
Everything is like auto playing. Okay. The point is, oh shit, I only have 25 minutes. Okay, I'm going to get through this really quick. The point is, these people don't care. He's talking about how bad it is that it's so bad that Instagram is addicting teens, whatever. Okay, well, guess what? Instagram's going to be able to addict a lot more people or whatever if they harvest even more data. So why are you letting them harvest even more data on children, including teenagers, for your stupid age verification efforts? And Ro Khanna, by the way, is the same way. Ro Khanna is like, I'm against billionaires. I'm against big tech. I'm blah, blah, blah. And then he votes for things like the Kids Online Safety Act and endorses all of these horrible censorship and surveillance laws. So like, no, Ro Khanna, you're not against big tech if you are not protecting our rights online. So yeah. Also, this other representative, I got really triggered on Christmas because he was like using Christmas to push his stupid law. This is actually a Republican, but the App Store Accountability Act is literally just a Facebook. It's a Facebook. It's a Meta app. Like Meta didn't like this other law that was being considered, and so they were like, "Oh, let's try to put age verification on the App Store level." And so like this is just a Meta. Like when you hear about the App Store Accountability Act, it is literally just Meta's law that they basically wrote, and it's a huge reward to Meta. So this other congressman says Santa will be bringing many kids their first phones or tablets, but Christmas shouldn't have to come with a warning label. Parents deserve real tools to protect kids online. Wow, I actually agree with that part. What's your solution? More user privacy, more whatever. And also, I don't necessarily think that parents deserve the controls. I think actually the internet, any user deserves more autonomy and say over their online experience, whether they're a teen or adult. My App Store Accountability Act restores parental controls and protects kids by ensuring minors aren't being fed adult or addictive materials through app stores. What's adult material? Any sort of reproductive justice information, any LGBTQ information, information about Israeli war crimes, information, again, like health information, anything. And this is just another age and identity verification law, by the way. That's what this is. And this one's written by Meta, okay? That one's written by Meta. So shut up to him. Really grinds my gears. And meanwhile, as well, amidst all of this, these Democrats, although this guy's a Republican, but just the Democrats broadly, they want to pass these censorship and surveillance laws while the Trump administration is doing a record assault on free speech. So they're like, we should pass all these censorship and surveillance laws, right? Sorry, I'm trying to move the chat to make it easier to read, but that actually doesn't make it easier to read anyway. But it makes it easier for me to read. So the Trump administration has made 200 attempts, at least in 2025, to muzzle press, protesters, public servants, judges, and law firms. Nora Benavides is a great free speech lawyer. She's at the Free Press, but not Barry Weiss's Free Press, the actual other Free Press, like digital rights group. I know it's confusing because they both have the same name, but I just thought that first of all, she did a great job documenting the censorship crusade on the behalf of Trump, and also just that the Democrats are going to give this huge win to them. Sorry, I'm just doing this thing. There's a bunch of other stuff I want to talk about, but I'm trying to rush through. The last thing I'll say, I guess, on all of this is, when they talk about adult content or they talk about content that's inappropriate for kids, or they talk about, needing to protect children and dismantle the First Amendment, or roll back free speech, or like Shlomo Kramer was saying, limit the First Amendment, control the social platforms. What they want to do is they just want to control speech. They want to control our right to resist the government. And I think that a really good example of that is this video I'm about to show. Also, I see this person saying, I'm a big advocate for free speech, but I have to admit, I was not a fan of all the health misinformation spread during the peak of the pandemic. First of all, we're in the peak of the pandemic currently. Okay, let's be real. And would be in support of suppressing it. Okay, what health misinformation are you talking about? I think this is the problem, is that instead of building a robust public health communication system where we educate people about public health and we counter disinformation by building trust in systems and picking our economic systems and, basically trying to prevent people from going down these conspiracy theories rabbit holes by taking a hyper-individualistic view of health, the government itself is spreading health misinformation, right? And currently spreading health misinformation. So we're in the peak of COVID right now. I would argue, so first of all, we just found out that over 100,000 people have died of COVID. But yeah, we are in the peak spread of COVID. So COVID is currently spreading unmitigated. So for the first few years of the pandemic, you'll see that huge, back when we were tracking, right? We saw this big spike during Omicron. But you'll see we continue to have these peaks. And right now, the time that we're in with COVID right now is so dangerous because we have fewer treatments for COVID today than we did 3 years ago. So it was safer to get COVID 3 years ago than it was today. And we have more and more unmitigated spread today because we have fewer and fewer COVID protections currently. So yes, you should be masking. COVID continues to kill. Not only is it killing over 100,000 people documented in the acute phase, but it's killing countless other people with all of this other, with all of the things that COVID causes, like cancer and neurodegenerative disease and immune damage and all of that stuff. I could do a whole COVID rant, but anyway, COVID is really bad. And yeah, it is what the fuck. It is. So wear a mask, educate yourself on what's going on. I know it's shocking to some of you guys that have just tuned it out, but um, unfortunately, yeah, COVID also isn't our only problem. And like measles, COVID damages your immune system. Measles really damages your immune system in the sense that it like basically resets it. But COVID also damages your immune system. So every single time you get COVID, um, your immune system is potentially damaged. Also, I can't talk about it too much anymore. I don't want to get this video demonetized. Okay. It's very easy to wear a mask. But let's get back to the matter at hand. We don't want the government determining what is and isn't, misinformation. And the flu is very bad this year too, as well. We don't have a working good flu vaccine this year either. Um, we don't want the government. We don't want RFK in charge determining who should be censored online. We don't want RFK saying, "Oh, I don't, actually if you even advocate for a vaccine or advocate for masking, you're getting deplatformed." Like we don't want that. We want a robust, independent public health infrastructure, and part of that comes with universal health care, okay? So, let's talk about that. I just want to leave you guys with this one video that was really disturbing, that I saw, that was going around. I saw Drop Site News promoted it. Um, but it's this girl here. Let's watch. So this is talking. She's talking about Venezuela, and she's talking about what's going on. So let's watch here.
This is not just a foreign issue, it's our tax dollars that are also being used to commit these war crimes. It is also the duty of us, the people, to stand against the Trump regime, the Trump administration that are committing crimes both here in the U.S. and against people in Venezuela.
Now, in the background of this interview, you could see that police car. And now right here, we're showing you video we have. Immediately after the interview finished, Plickta was arrested by 2 Grand Rapids police officers. You can see it in the video. And an officer tells Plickta that she is being arrested for obstructing a roadway and failure to obey a lawful command from a police officer. You can see as she's taken away in that car, she was issuing a number of messages about wanting the U.S. to free Maduro. But again, she was taken away by police officers there. And you can see in this video, officers were closely following this procession in downtown Grand Rapids. We have reached out to GRPD for more information about the arrest, but we have not heard back so far.
I thought that was so dystopian because it reminds me so much of that video that we watched earlier in the live stream about where you saw the girl being arrested in Germany. You saw where she was standing. She was not standing in a roadway. She was standing on a sidewalk being interviewed for a newscast, and she was just pulled right off the street. So I think it's just incredibly dystopian, very dark. I agreed with what Sana tweeted, where she said, we're at the point in this country where police openly grab people off the streets while they're speaking to the press or protesting, and it's not even registering as a blip, and it's not registering as even a blip of the growing crisis of speech repression in this country. No national resistance, just permission. And yeah, I agree. It is bleak. It does. I do understand how you feel powerless, but we're not powerless. We do still have free speech for now. And I think that we just need to sort of fight back against these laws. And actually, we've done it before. We killed Kosa in 2020, or sorry, we killed Kosa in 2022, right? And I know it's back now, thanks to the Democrats. But I think if we continue to pressure people in power, things can get better because we ultimately have some sort of modicum of resistance available to us. Really, we have the internet. And I think somebody earlier in the stream was asking, like, what are we supposed to do? Build a whole nother internet? No, we can't do that, but we can build systems that are outside of the control of big tech and, even platforms like that are more independent. I've seen this. There's this recent trend. What's it called? Oh, it's called digital homesteading. And it's basically this group of people that are building their own sites online again. So they're going back to the days of like personal websites, and they're building their own personal websites to talk about free speech and host their own free speech sort of content. And I thought that was really cool, especially as somebody that started with their own blog. I was like, that's awesome. You know, that exists. And actually, speaking of that, yeah, actually, I'll talk about all this next. I have to go because I have to go do this other. I have to go do this. I have to do. Matt and I are making a podcast episode together. So, but anyway, yeah, I just wanted to basically share all of that news with you and tell you guys what's going on. If you haven't been following, I know I spent probably way too much time on Europe this stream. I think Europe has just been so out of control lately that it's like hard not to talk about the crazy things that they do and say. But there's a lot of other stuff going on here that I meant to talk about that I will be talking about probably next stream. I'm going to try to stream again on Friday. I'm going to try to stream on Wednesdays and Fridays, and then I'll be putting these clips on my channel. But yeah, anyway, in the meantime, stay safe. Do wear a mask, please, if you're in crowded spaces, and just be careful because basically our government has given up on mitigating all forms of disease, and we are in the winter, which is extra bad. So just be safe and take care of each other, and thank you so much for watching. And hopefully, I will clip this like stream onto my channel at some point. I'll like put the videos up, and if you have feedback on terms of like what I could be doing better on live streaming, like let me know as well. Clearly I'm very disorganized and I didn't like format this stream well, and I didn't get to cover everything I wanted to cover, but hopefully on Friday it'll get better. So thanks for tuning in. All right, everyone, have a great day.